The Crusades, spanning from the late 11th to the late 13th centuries, stand as one of the most complex and impactful series of conflicts in medieval history. These religiously charged wars, primarily between Christian and Muslim forces, sought control of the Holy Land, a region considered sacred by followers of both faiths. At their core, the Crusades were not only about religion, but also about power, politics, and the pursuit of wealth and territory. They were a clash of empires and civilizations, leaving a profound legacy that shaped the cultural, political, and religious landscape of Europe and the Middle East. The roots of the Crusades lie in the centuries of interaction, and often conflict, between Christian and Muslim worlds. By the 11th century, the Byzantine Empire, once a dominant force in the Mediterranean, was in decline. Muslim powers, particularly the Seljuk Turks, had expanded their territories, capturing large swathes of Byzantine lands, including Anatolia, and threatening Constantinople. The Holy Land, centered around Jerusalem, had long been under Muslim control, but the rise of the Seljuks brought new challenges, including reports of increased harassment of Christian pilgrims traveling to these sacred sites. In 1195, Byzantine Emperor Alexios I Komnenos appealed to Pope Urban II for military aid against the Seljuks. Urban saw an opportunity not only to assist a fellow Christian ruler, but also to assert the power of the papacy, unite the often warring Christian kingdoms of Europe, and redirect their energies toward a common enemy. At the Council of Clermont later that year, Urban delivered a stirring call to arms, urging Christians to liberate the Holy Land. The Pope framed the Crusades as a holy mission, promising spiritual rewards, including absolution of sins for those who took up the cross. The response was overwhelming. Nobles, knights, and peasants alike were inspired by a mix of religious zeal, the promise of adventure, and the prospect of material gain. Thus began the First Crusade, a campaign that would set the tone for centuries of conflict in the region. The First Crusade, 1096 to 1099, was a surprising success, albeit marked by brutality and chaos. The Crusaders, largely untrained and poorly organized, faced immense challenges, including long marches, harsh climates, and internal divisions. Yet their religious fervor and determination propelled them forward. After capturing key cities such as Nicaea and Antioch, the Crusaders achieved their ultimate goal, the conquest of Jerusalem in 1099. The siege and capture of Jerusalem were marked by horrific violence. Contemporary accounts describe Crusaders slaughtering Muslim and Jewish inhabitants indiscriminately, turning the city into a scene of carnage. Despite this, the victory solidified the Crusaders' belief in the righteousness of their cause. The establishment of Crusader states, including the Kingdom of Jerusalem, the Principality of Antioch, and others, created a tenuous Christian foothold in the region. These states relied heavily on continued support from Europe and were perpetually under threat from surrounding Muslim powers. While the First Crusade caught the Muslim world off guard, subsequent campaigns were met with more organized resistance. The fragmentation of Muslim territories initially worked to the Crusaders' advantage, but by the mid-12th century, leaders such as Nur al-Din and his successor, Saladin, began to unify Muslim forces. Saladin, a charismatic and strategic leader, emerged as the most formidable opponent to the Crusaders. In 1187, Saladin achieved a decisive victory at the Battle of Hattin near the Sea of Galilee. His forces annihilated the Crusader army, capturing the relic of the True Cross and several key leaders. Following this victory, Saladin retook Jerusalem, ending nearly a century of Christian rule. Unlike the Crusaders' brutal conquest in 1099, Saladin's recapture of the city was marked by relative mercy, with many inhabitants allowed to leave safely. Saladin's actions earned him a lasting reputation as a chivalrous and honorable leader, even among his Christian adversaries. Saladin's leadership extended beyond military prowess. He demonstrated a deep commitment to the principles of Islam, promoting justice and charity. His rule saw the construction of schools, hospitals, and mosques, and he actively sought to minimize internal divisions within the Muslim world. This unity was a crucial factor in the ability of Muslim forces to resist subsequent Crusader efforts to retake the Holy Land. The loss of Jerusalem spurred the launch of the Third Crusade, 1189 to 1192, led by some of Europe's most renowned monarchs, including Richard the Lionheart of England, Philip II of France, and Frederick Barbarossa of the Holy Roman Empire. This campaign achieved mixed results. While the Crusaders recaptured key coastal cities such as Acre, they failed to retake Jerusalem. Nevertheless, the conflict ended with the Treaty of Jaffa, which allowed Christian pilgrims access to the Holy City, even though it remained under Muslim control. The Third Crusade became legendary for the rivalry and mutual respect between Richard the Lionheart and Saladin. Despite their fierce opposition, both leaders demonstrated chivalry and diplomacy. Richard's campaigns showcased his military genius, but internal disputes among the Crusaders and logistical challenges ultimately hindered their efforts. The Third Crusade's partial successes highlighted the growing complexity of these campaigns, where military objectives were increasingly entangled with political ambitions. Subsequent crusades, including the Fourth Crusade, 1202 to 1204, strayed far from their original purpose. The Fourth Crusade infamously ended with the sack of Constantinople, a Christian city, highlighting the shifting priorities and internal divisions within Christendom. The plundering of Constantinople not only weakened the Byzantine Empire, but also deepened the schism between the Roman Catholic and Eastern Orthodox churches. Other campaigns, such as the Albigensian Crusade against heretics in southern France and the Northern Crusades in the Baltic region, further diluted the original mission of reclaiming the Holy Land. The Children's Crusade of 1212 is another example of the idealism and tragedy associated with the crusading era. Thousands of young Europeans, inspired by religious fervor and visions of divine intervention, embarked on a journey to reclaim Jerusalem. The expedition ended disastrously, with many participants falling victim to exploitation, starvation, and enslavement. This episode underscores the profound social and cultural impact of the Crusades, as well as the dangers of unbridled zeal. By the 13th century, the momentum of the crusading movement began to wane. The later Crusades, including the 5th, 6th, and 7th campaigns, failed to achieve lasting victories in the Holy Land. The rise of powerful Muslim dynasties, such as the Mamluks in Egypt, further diminished the Crusaders' chances of success. The Mamluks, under leaders like Baybars and Qalawun, systematically dismantled the remaining Crusader states, culminating in the fall of Acre in 1291. This event marked the end of Christian political and military presence in the region. The decline of the Crusades was also influenced by changing priorities in Europe. The rise of nation-states, economic transformations, and internal conflicts shifted attention away from the Holy Land. The failure to achieve lasting success in the region led to disillusionment, and the religious fervor that had once driven the movement gradually faded. The Crusades had a profound and lasting impact on both the Christian and Muslim worlds. In Europe, they stimulated economic growth, particularly in trade, as Crusaders brought back goods, ideas, and technologies from the East. The wars also contributed to the centralization of royal authority, as monarchs gained experience in organizing large-scale campaigns and securing funding. Culturally, the Crusades left an indelible mark, inspiring literature, art, and religious devotion. The architectural legacy of the Crusades is evident in the fortifications and castles built by both sides. Structures like Croix des Chevaliers and the Citadel of Aleppo stand as testaments to the ingenuity and resilience of medieval military engineering. These sites continue to captivate historians and tourists, serving as reminders of a turbulent era. In the Muslim world, the Crusades reinforced the importance of unity in the face of external threats. They also left a legacy of mistrust and conflict between Christians and Muslims, a sentiment that persists in some ways to this day. The exchange of knowledge and ideas, however, enriched both civilizations, fostering advancements in science, medicine, and philosophy. The translation of classical texts and the transmission of technologies facilitated the European Renaissance and shaped the intellectual heritage of the Islamic Golden Age. The Crusades also had significant social and psychological effects. The experiences of pilgrimage, warfare, and cross-cultural encounters transformed the lives of countless individuals. The crusading ethos persisted in European culture, influencing later endeavors such as the Reconquista in Spain and colonial expansion. For Muslims, the memory of the Crusades became part of a broader narrative of resistance and resilience, inspiring later struggles against colonialism and foreign domination. The Crusades were far more than a series of battles for control of the Holy Land. They were a clash of empires, ideologies, and ambitions, reflecting the complexities of medieval society. While they ultimately failed to establish lasting Christian dominance in the region, their impact resonated across centuries, shaping the course of history in ways that continue to be felt. The Crusades remind us of the power of religious and political fervor to unite and divide, to inspire great deeds and unleash devastating violence. In their enduring legacy, they offer valuable lessons about the consequences of zealotry, the importance of dialogue, and the potential for shared humanity in even the most challenging of circumstances.